To the rapporteur, she has 4 minutes. Go ahead, Mrs. Bauer.
Thank you, President. Ladies and gentlemen, dear Commissioner, we all can agree that the gender pay gap should be closed. The question is how. It all started with the initiative of 10 young female members of the European Parliament back on 8 March 2010, who requested a legislative initiative report on equal pay for equal work, pursuant to Rule 42 of the Rules of Procedure. According to this rule, the Parliament may request the Commission to submit a proposal of a new act or amendment the old one. There is a new legal basis, Article 157 of the Lisbon Treaty, and the secondary legislation in force. The Directive 2006/54 on the implementation of the principle of equal opportunities and equal treatment of men and women in matters of employment and occupation, the so-called recast directive, replaced Directive 75/117 on the approximation of the laws of the Member States relating to the application of the principle of equal pay for men and women. Even though the deadline for transposition of the recast directive was in 2008, legal experts are of the opinion that only small or no profound changes have been made in the legislation of Member States, and no sanctions have been launched against the employers foreseen by the recast directive. There is only a slow progress. The gender pay gap is currently 16.4%, varying from 4.5 up to 25.5 in Member States, while on the other side there is almost 40 years old legislation in force, which is obviously not efficient. The main question is what to do with an inefficient piece of legislation. We are aware that legislation itself is not enough to tackle the issue for the experiences, but experiences shows that even the legislation can be improved and better enforced. Since the gender pay gap is a complex and multifaceted issue, causes are also multiple, like social and economic factors such as occupational and sectoral segregation in the labour market, undervaluing of women's work, imbalance of work and private life, traditions and stereotypes such as the choice of educational paths and employment patterns, just to mention some of them. Half of the differences are not explained. They are considered as a difference caused by direct and indirect discrimination. What's more, statistics show that the gender pay gap is occurring after returning to the labour market after the birth of the first child, and it is growing with age because of career breaks, but also with educational level. For this reason, the answer has to be holistic and multi-level. It has to combine legislative and non-legislative measures. Both of them are important and essential. Our aim with this report was to identify those areas in the legislation where improvement can be made. Since the Commission has an obligation under Article 32 of the recast directive to review the directive and, if appropriate, propose amendments in 2013, we call on the Commission to address the unjust discrimination against women and make the legislation on diminishing gender pay gap more effective, while improvements based on best practices of different Member States are requested in selected areas. Equal work for equal work or work of equal value has to be rewarded equally, regardless whether it is done by men or women. No excuse can be acceptable. Thank you.
I would like to ask Commissioner Potočnik to take the floor, please.
Good morning, Madam Chair, honourable members of the European Parliament. It is a nice day and we start with an important topic. Gender equality is a fundamental right enshrined in the European Union